Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Public school teachers rock. Let's remember that. That's from one public school teacher to another. So it is very good to be here today at the Albert Shanker Institute. I appreciate the invitation from the American Federation of Teachers and the Hispanic Federation. I'm so glad you're holding this event today. 5 months. It has been 5 long months since Hurricane Maria devastated Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands. Over 5 long months since Hurricane Irma battered the islands of Vieques and Culebra. 5 long months, and many people are still worried sick about the island. But Puerto Rico is not on the front pages of the newspapers anymore. Our president isn't talking about Puerto Rico. Congress isn't talking about Puerto Rico. No special news stories or widely circulated pictures. I fear that for Puerto Rico, out of sight is out of mind for way too many people. I'm not going to mince words here. The way the federal government has responded to this humanitarian catastrophe is embarrassing. The people of Puerto Rico are fellow U.S. citizens, and the federal government owes them far more than it has delivered. Now, make no mistake, I am thankful for all the workers and all the volunteers and all the first responders who've been toiling to help the people of Puerto Rico. I met some of them when I led the latest Massachusetts congressional delegation on a trip to the island in January. And they were terrific, and they have been doing some fantastic work. But they are not the ones setting federal policy for Puerto Rico. This isn't just a volunteer operation. Washington should step up and do its job. Can I have an amen on that? You bet. So we're here today to talk about the future, about Puerto Rico's road to recovery and reconstruction. And I want to begin by pointing out the obvious, but perhaps the most important point of all. Puerto Rico needs help to rebuild and to have a strong recovery. No single appropriations bill, no single measure will be enough. Congress and the president must show a sustained commitment to the island, and that will happen only if people across the country hold Congress and the president accountable for doing exactly that. I serve on the Senate committee that handles health and education, and in December, Senator Bill Cassidy, who's a Republican from Louisiana, joined me in asking that our committee hold hearings on the challenges facing the health and education systems of Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. 7 other senators joined us in that request. The AFT and almost 200 organizations also signed a letter urging the heads of our committee to hold hearings. And that was really great, and I want to say thank you to all of you for that. It was really important. But so far, we're still waiting. I am hopeful, but we need to keep pushing for this hearing. If we don't push, it won't happen. There are many questions that need to be asked and many issues that need to be addressed. This is the sort of pressure we need to keep applying to ensure that Puerto Rico's recovery stays in our field of vision and that problems actually get solved, not just glossed over. Another way to show sustained commitment is to pass the Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands Equitable Rebuild Act that Senators Bernie Sanders and Richard Blumenthal and I introduced along with several of our colleagues in the Senate and in the House. This is a far-reaching, comprehensive bill that touches on every aspect of the territory's recovery. Think of it as a kind of Marshall Plan, as Michelle said, a Marshall Plan for Puerto Rico. We need to think big and bold if Puerto Rico is going to have a truly successful recovery. You know, people think of budgets as just a bunch of numbers, but I believe that budgets reflect our values, and that is definitely true with Puerto Rico right now. The fiscal plan for the island is still being hammered out. The Oversight Board has until the end of the month to certify it, and we are waiting to see where they land. But let me emphasize one point. If that fiscal plan shows that Puerto Rico will make large payments to creditors while calling for deep cuts in the public school system and other public services, that would be just plain wrong, and we will fight them every step of the way. Yes. Puerto Rico needs debt relief. As I've said many times, vulture funds should not get 1 cent more from the island. But it is especially the case that Congress appropriates money to Puerto Rico, and that money should not go to paying Wall Street. Every penny of the federal help that goes to Puerto Rico must be used to rebuild the island and help its residents recover from the hurricanes. Every penny. Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez and I joined several of our colleagues from both sides of the aisle in reminding the Oversight Board that all congressional funding must be dedicated to relief and recovery. We will keep a sharp eye on this. I am also deeply concerned by plans to close hundreds of public schools in Puerto Rico and to implement private school vouchers and charter schools with no accountability. Now is the time for Puerto Rico to redouble its investment in public education. Cuts to education send a grim message about the future of the island, and such cuts would make a full recovery even more difficult. High-quality public education spurs economic growth and opportunity. The Oversight Board should not undercut Puerto Rico's future by approving a plan that guts Puerto Rico's education system. We need public education in Puerto Rico. Yep. You know, the news coming out of Puerto Rico right now is often bad. I know that people could lose hope, but I believe that there is a tremendous opportunity for all of us to come together and to help rebuild this island better than ever. There is a path to getting it right and creating a strong future for Puerto Rico. So please, do what you can to keep attention on Puerto Rico. Keep asking questions. Push for big investments in the island. Push for big investments in education. And make sure that money and resources go to the people who really need it. By working together on these steps, we have a chance to help the people of Puerto Rico turn a devastating catastrophe into a triumph. But it will take all of us working together to make that happen. So thank you for being here today. Stay on it. Thank you. Good to talk to you. Thank you. Thank you. Michelle, back to you. It's all yours. Thank you.
Thank all of your staff for
Yeah.
helping us put this
Good.
together.
You bet. You bet. Take care.
Thank you. And I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment and thank both the senator and her staff for helping arrange this event and allow us to use this space. So thank you all so very much.
Good.
Really.
Thank you.